The Toowoomba Region Koala Count is an annual local event from our Save Mount Lofty community group. We want people to care for our unique koala species across our region. The Koala Count encourages landholders to look after local koala habitat. We want to plant particular eucalyptus trees, trees that we know local koala like to eat. People say that I have a special talent for spotting a koala in the wild. I absolutely love it each time I find a new koala. During our 2021 Koala Count, we met Tim and Jane Clewett at Geham, between Highfield and Crow's Nest, north of Toowoomba. In these videos, Tim and Jane tell us their story of promoting koala habitat on their small rural property. We then speak to their daughter Katie on her story. Jane then shares with us her wonderful koala images. We spoke with Tim and Jane in the autumn of 2023 after 2 years of extensive rain across our region. Here is their story.
In 1978, Jan and I were married and we lived in Toowoomba for a year or two. But in 1980, we got the opportunity to purchase this land out here at Geham, which is located about 20 kilometres north of Toowoomba. The property is 18 acres in size. Initially, it didn't look that great. It was in the middle of winter and it was all browned off. But there was something about it and we were both really attracted to it and we very quickly fell in love with it. Well, of course, the land belonged to the Aboriginals since time began almost, and they must have had a wonderful time because it was clearly a lovely forested area with lots of wildlife and running water, I'd imagine, because the water table was much higher in those days. Yeah, I can only envy their lifestyle. However, European settlement came across and one of the things they did was clear the forests and start cultivating the land and overstocking it, and that was about the stage that we bought the land in that condition. I'd graduated with a science degree out of the DDIAE and I had a grow to be full-time job at the DPI. Jan was a school teacher. There was no house on the property, some stables and a shed down the front. One of the big things we had was a bore. We had water. That was great. We selected a site towards the back of the property to build a home and we're known a builder in that, and within a year or two established the garden. One of the attractions of the property was the wildlife, of course, kangaroos, the bird life, echidnas and snakes, I suppose.
Well, we first saw our first koala here in about 1990. It had an ear tag on its ear. 764 was the number, and we called it 764. The kids were just over the moon and we were so excited to have a koala in the trees.
Natural bush started to regenerate. We weren't stocking the ground there at all, so we could see the windbreak, I suppose, towards the southwest was developing, and with that came wildlife. It was wonderful. We sort of got the concept, well, if we could link up the remnant bush area we had with the corridor down the left-hand side and up towards the back, it might be an idea to try and encourage vegetation there, to encourage the koalas. Well, we did a bit of research to find out what sort of trees that might be suitable and came up with a list of about 10 different species, some of them already current on our land. A total of 127 trees we put in over a couple of weekends. All eucalypts, of course, but Eucalyptus teraticornis, that's the forest red gum, or Queensland blue gum. There's the tallow wood tree, Eucalyptus microcorus. And there were several others that have done quite well here, the Eucalyptus morricana and propinqua and maculata, the spotted gum. They all are grey gums, really they are. Getting the trees established was quite a mission. Just planting the tree's not enough. You've got to look after it for a period of time until it takes root. That happened fairly quickly. We were a bit blessed with a good season or two. We certainly had a lot of trouble with hares and wallabies chewing off what we planted.
We came up with the idea that we'd put a little guard around each tree. So we now have a collection of about 150 guards that we store and use them all the time when we plant new trees.
In 2011, this area was totally bare, and it was when we first planted these young trees. They were only this high at that time, but over the years they've grown really quite well. There are about 10 different species we planted here, and some are doing better than others, but we're just thrilled with the outcome, and it provides a really good habitat for a whole lot of wildlife. It's terrific.
We had to keep the water up to start with. We made a few hoses, joined them together and took them up to the area where we had the trees. They were a little bit more established by the time we had our first dry spell, so we had to water them every day.
Well, a key message, I think, to anybody aspiring to do something similar is that it's not that hard. Don't make a big issue about watering all the time. They're quite resilient things. Once you get them started and get them through perhaps that first summer, we were quite amazed with how well the trees have grown. And gee, as you look around here, these ones here, some of them would be reaching 10 metres. There's further down there, I think they're 15 metres high now, which is quite astonishing. This is sort of like 10 years of growth, and it's wonderful to see, isn't it? Yeah. We see a lot of wildlife around the home, lots and lots of birds. We've probably identified 100 species of birds on our property. Kangaroos, lace monitors, they're exciting. I remember koalas, of course. We used to hear koalas. At night I'd be listening. Oh, Jan, I think that's a koala. And often over in the eastern side, and then occasionally over on the western side. Going out the next morning and think, I heard that koala down there, it must be up there somewhere. And look, oh, there he is. Wonderful. We've spent a lot of time recently tracking them down, and I think it's wonderful. Yeah, we both enjoy it, and the family does as well.